Bienvenidos a este programa. Sahil Rahi Roycito covering the CONMEBOL World Cup Qualifiers. If you could not tell, let's show the standings. This lovely graphic provided by Wikipedia, which I know you guys love to see, but let's talk about it, boys. Here's the standings and table. What you got to say about this as we get into the second to last round of the World Cup Qualifiers?
Roycito, that jersey you're wearing, they're still on top of the standings and by a mile, my friend.
An 8-point lead after 14 games. That's massive, guys. Ain't nobody catching up with Argentina. But there's good news and bad news with this region for soccer fans who aren't tied and desperate and emotional for who is going to make it out. The bad news is that with 6 direct spots, so 6 out of 10 teams and 1 intercontinental playoff spot, it's pretty much guaranteed, we're close to guaranteed who those top 6 are going to be. There's a 5-point difference between Venezuela and Colombia. So we know it's going to be Ecuador, who's the second best team in this region. They've been absolutely incredible. Least losses, least goals allowed in the region. Their defense has been absolutely insane. Uruguay is going to make it. We know this. Anyone disagree? Questionable tactics, questionable coach, big question mark.
Let's talk about all that.
Who's going to be their coach in the World Cup? They're going to make it.
Well, let's see. Let's talk about that. This is what it looks like right now. Let's get into the matches of the next round because that's going to determine all of this. You guys all know. You guys all get this locked up and know what's going to go on because I think there are a lot of nuances to this situation.
Well,
so
look at 3 to 6, right? That's 1 point separating all those teams.
Yeah, it could get a little dicey. So here's the matches that are coming this round. So we're going to break it down here and talk about which matches the viewers should watch. And I'm going to start it off. I'm proudly wearing this. So no surprise, that I'm going with Ecuador versus Brazil. And why? Well, there's one reason that I want to talk about, which is, of course, Brazil is getting Mr. Carlo Ancelotti his first match.
It's going to be interesting.
Really, could be interesting. But really, guys, the story here is Ecuador, which you guys alluded to, right?
100%. This Ecuadorian team is on fire. They've been playing so well. Incredible defensive midfielders. Incredible up front with Valencia. Still going strong. For me, this team has been the class of qualifying aside from Argentina. And yes, Brazil has King Carlo on the sideline, but Roy, he's going to have no time to do anything. Ecuador is the favorite in this game.
Dude, it's the new manager boost. New manager boost should make a difference. I'm kind of surprised he took the Brazilian job.
What are you going to do?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he does.
I mean, he can't implement anything.
It doesn't matter. Look around the world when someone fires their manager, a manager leaves a team. Generally speaking, chances are they're going to have a new manager boost. Even if that new manager is their assistant coach, even if it's someone they brought on, high profile, low profile, doesn't matter. It's something that happens in the world of soccer. It's something in the players' minds where they say, wow, we just got our last coach fired. Yeah. That's because of us and the way we've been playing. We liked our coach. Let's step it the heck up. And I think that's what's going to happen to Brazil. It's going to have to happen to Brazil because Vinicius has been terrible. Rafinha has been terrible. There's a shortage of talent on this team who can make a difference. They never replace Neymar. And I want to see a fun Brazil, man. As an Argentine, well, I don't love Brazil, but I want to see a fun Brazil. I want the rivalry back.
Yeah, when they look at the sideline, at least they'll see a well-dressed manager. Dorival Jr. did not know how to dress. Ancelotti will be in a suit, black suit, looking good. Vinicius will feel more confident knowing that he's there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you convinced me.
Let's talk about Ecuador for a second. So one player I want to highlight is Willian Pacho because for PSG, he's been a rock, guys. And he's been an absolute rock. And now, as the way this nets out, as we discussed, if Ecuador wins this match, results going the other way, they could qualify for the World Cup if they get through here and definitely the next match after that, right? So there's a lot at stake here. And when you have an opportunity to beat Brazil to go to the World Cup, guys, that's a huge incentive right there.
And they deserve it. They've been so good. And you're exactly right. The reasons that they're so difficult to beat is because they do not concede goals. They are so strong defensively. It makes a huge difference. So yes, they're good going forward. They're better defensively. Very tough to break down. I think they knowing that they can qualify for the World Cup, Roy, they've got to be up for this game, and I think they do it.
Yeah. Least losses, lowest goals allowed in the region. That is incredible for this Ecuadorian side. They're going to be hard to break down. And unless Vinicius somehow figures out how to play soccer for Brazil, and same for Rafinha, I don't see him scoring against Ecuador.
Yeah, you
I
have
just don't see it,
Hincapié.
but let's see that new manager boost.
They
I
should
think
let
that's a very
them
real
wear,
thing.
like Rafinha should wear his Barcelona jersey. And
Seriously.
They just let
Wear
them
it
wear
under.
their jerseys, a little Brazil logo on it. Just pretend you're playing back in Spain.
Yep. Word under. I don't
It's going to
care.
be hard to get past Hincapié and Pacho in this match, especially at home. A lot of stuff. All right, guys, who wins this match? What do you guys think?
I feel like I've said it 3 times, Ecuador.
Okay. Roy?
Ecuador at home, it's got to be Ecuador, man. It's
Okay.
either a 0-0 draw or it's a 1-0 Ecuador win.
Yep. I think so. I think Ecuador shocks the world, shocks Ancelotti, gets it done.
Not a shock.
All right. Yeah, maybe it's not a shock. All right. Moving on to Rahi. What is your match to watch? What do we got for us?
Well, I think this is a fascinating game. In Asuncion, this is Paraguay, who has been ascending, man. They've been on the rise. They've been playing really, really well. Had an incredible last window. Now, this is the true test for them. If they want to solidify their spot in the World Cup, they're playing an Uruguay team that, to be honest, shaking a little bit, right? They're starting to falter. Really interesting. 2 teams sort of different trajectories. Really interesting to see how Paraguay does at home. It's a very difficult game for Uruguay. It's a very big opportunity for Paraguay. For me, it's definitely the game of the region, the game of the round. They're both tied on points too, Roy. Could be the moment for Paraguay.
I love it. I love it. And I love you brought up Paraguay. As you all know, I'm a big MLS fan. That team is almost half MLS players, dude. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, one left to Brighton, Gomez. But Andres Cubas, Almiron, like these are players in MLS, and they're not star players by any means in MLS, but to have a South American team start so many MLS players is crazy. So my heart is going for Paraguay. I love the way they've been playing. I love the way they've been attacking. This is a fascinating pick, man. And Colombia's been a little disappointing. I thought Colombia would be the second best team in the region with Brazil's downfall, but Ecuador took that spot. And Colombia's kind of struggling a bit.
So sure, Colombia's struggling. But what about Uruguay? Like, what do you guys think about Uruguay, guys?
Yeah,
I think they've been terrible. I think they've been playing so far below expectation. Don't like it.
I think again, Rahi, what you talked about earlier, this is now a point where Uruguay, yes, I know they've established themselves with some of those early points, but this is actually a huge game for Uruguay as well.
Yeah, it's huge, right? We've heard all the uncertainty, some locker room issues, some real players that were really upset. And last window was a real struggle for Uruguay. With the players they have and where they're playing, they should be doing better than they have. They started off really well. They had an incredible victory against Argentina, right? They've done some big things at moments, but of late, the vibes haven't been good with Uruguay, but yet this is a big opportunity for them to turn it around, right? To get a victory on the road in Paraguay would solidify them in multiple ways. It would say, hey, we're back. It would also, in a points way, right, really put some distance between them and that pack. And this is a huge, huge moment for this team. We're talking about if they don't win this game, if they, for example, lose on the Roy, you're looking at a situation where that gap is right now 1.3 to 6. You're looking, you could drop to 6th place, right? That's crazy.
Yep. I listen, I love your stats and talking what could happen. The fact of the matter is this Uruguay team tied Bolivia 0-0, lost to Argentina 0-1, tied Brazil 1-1. They had one good game against Colombia. Before that, 0-0. 1-0 loss against Peru, 0-0 against Venezuela, 0-0 against Paraguay, 1-1 against Guatemala. This is a team that is boring to watch. Yeah. They're not figuring out their attack. Their coach can't figure out the tactics. They're not transitioning well. But let me repeat again, they're boring to watch. Yeah. Uruguay has always
not
been
supposed to be boring, right?
The
yeah.
They're supposed to be all forward, all press, all the time, right? They're not exciting. This is not what the manager was brought in to do, Roy.
And especially this manager. This manager is that's not his MO. We're
not what he's Bielsa ball, of course. In case we haven't said his name, Marcelo Bielsa. He's supposed to be about Bielsa ball, which is all throttle all the time, and it's not
full throttle.
Yep, 100%. All right, guys, who wins this match?
I think draw. I think it's a 2-2 draw, scoring draw, but I think Paraguay is able to compete with Uruguay, but I think it ends up being even, which actually is not a bad result for either team.
Okay, Rosito.
I'm going to go with what Uruguay has done 50% of the time over the last 8 games, which is a 0-0 boring draw.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
That's what
right.
I think.
I believe it's going to be a draw as well. I think we're all aligned in that. I'll give each of these teams a goal in that capacity. All right. Finishing off, Roycito, your match to watch is what here? What do we got?
My match, my friends, is Venezuela, Bolivia, the most exciting match in this region, in this window. Like I said before, the top 6 are pretty much decided. Not the order, obviously, but we have a very good idea of who is going to make the World Cup in that top 6. We have no clue who's going to make that intercontinental playoff, the 7th spot. It is between Venezuela and Bolivia. 2 teams with a very, very real chance. The exciting thing is this could be the first time in history. Did you guys know this? First time in history that Venezuela makes a World Cup. They have never made a World Cup. They're the only team in the region to have never made a World Cup.
Wow. Okay.
And they are pretty dang close to doing it, my friends. Most people don't know this about Venezuela, but they've never made one. So Bolivia 3 times. It was like in the 30s and the 50s. And I think the U.S.
94,
won, right?
1994.
That's right. They made the 94 World Cup. So they've made 3. They've been there.
Sanchez was the star of that team.
That's right. So both these teams, one that's never been to the World Cup, one that hasn't been in, what's 94, 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
Both have a chance. And just our luck, guys, they are playing against each other. So it is entirely in their hands. Of course, there's a couple games left, but this match is everything. And this match, if Venezuela doesn't win, that's going to be really hard for them to scrape back and get in a playoff position, because then Bolivia is at home against Chile. And we all know what happens in La Paz. What happens in La Paz is that their opponents choke, literally, because they don't have air in their lungs.
It's El Alto now, my friend.
That's right. That's right. El Alto. I mixed the names. But they will choke, just like Maradona in the past, just like Argentina losing 6-0 there in the past.
Mr.
Messi.
Like
most other teams in El Alto. So I think Bolivia could get 4 points in this window, and it's going to be hard to turn it around.
I trust Bolivia at home, but I trust Venezuela in this big moment, in this hugely massive game for them, in a chance to make the World Cup. They're going to be entirely up for this game. This is perhaps the biggest game in the history of Venezuelan football. For me, I think they get it done. I think Venezuela gets 3 points, and we really see them solidify their spot in that all interesting intercontinental playoff. So I think it's Venezuela.
Interesting. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go with a draw in this match between the 2 teams, but now it gets to I know, I'm being a little safe, but now we get to the exciting part where we pick the winners of each round. We will start with Rahi, who won last round. Rahi, who is your pick for winner of this round from CONMEBOL?
I'm going with one of the jerseys on the screen today. It is
not yours.
Ecuadorian jersey there. Our host Sa has gone with Ecuador to that jersey. They will be the winner of the round. I think they get Brazil, yes, in the first game, and yes, the new manager boost, but not enough to beat this team that is on fire. I think Ecuador in that first game. Second game, a little bit easier, playing Peru. For me, that's an easy one for Ecuador as well. That could be a 6-point window, at least a 4-point window for me. Ecuador solidifies their spot in the World Cup after this round. Check on the way to the U.S.
Copa del Mundo. All right, Roycito, who you got for win of the round? Last time, Roycito finished last out of all of us. Worst performance. So it's time for you to step it up this round. So who you got? Who's going to start the comeback train for you, Roy? Which team you got?
I think it's a team I've talked about a lot in this episode. I think it's going to be Bolivia. And if Bolivia, it all matters in one game, their performance in one game. If they get a draw against Venezuela, chances are they beat arguably the worst team in the region at home, Chile. So they get 4 points out of this. And that's going to bump them to 18 points, leaving Venezuela behind. It's going to leave Venezuela behind because I don't think Venezuela wins their second match. So Bolivia is my team, my winner of the match day.
Bold pick.
show.
Bold pick, Royce.
Yep.
Bold pick for Roycito. All right, finishing it off with me. And my pick for the winner of the round is, drum roll please, Uruguay. Now,
Wow.
here's my logic
more. Wow.
Here's
that's
my
risky.
logic here. I just think this team has. I'm waiting for this talent to shine. We've seen it at the very beginning of the round. We saw it in that match against Argentina. Since then, it has disappeared. It has gone into the doldrums. So by the law of averages, I like this particular round for them. I like the game at home against Venezuela. I think that's a very winnable game for Uruguay. And away to Paraguay, they basically need one good performance to prove me right. And that's going to be away to Paraguay. If they do that, get that done, then they'll be on their way well and good to the World Cup. So that's
like
what we
I
got.
like it.
So for those of you out there, let us know your thoughts of winner of the round, the pick of the round for the match to watch. And we will be back with the reaction video from the matches. Guys, final thoughts before we wrap up here.
What a round. What a region. I hope we have someone qualified after this round. I hope it's Ecuador.
I think it will be. And I think, man, my heart wants Venezuela. I'm going to be real. My heart really, really wants Venezuela, but it's lining up really nicely for Bolivia.
Both would be great stories.
It would
Both
be
great
fantastic.
stories.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful to see all these teams. As always, CONMEBOL qualifiers, so lovely, so exciting from South America. Hasta luego. And as I always say, keep watching the beautiful game.